Hey, what's up everybody? Michael the Fish Keeper here with a brand new video for y'all. And as y'all can tell by the thumbnail, we're going to be unboxing and setting up the Fluval FX6 canister filter. But before I get into that today, I want to send a huge shout out to Eric from Fluval. This dude is an outstanding gentleman. He sent me the Fluval FX6 along with some other goodies that we're going to be unboxing and setting up in another video. But I just want to send a huge shout out to him for sending me these products for this 225. And not just that, man. For those of you that don't know, not trying to get off topic, but the last few months have been pretty rough. Not just for me or the hobby, but for my family. You know what I mean? Last few months, my wife went through treatment for cervical cancer, and it took a toll on everybody. You know what I mean? But anyways, during that time, the handful of emails that me and Eric did share during that, the last couple months, he always asked how my wife was doing. He wanted, to let me know that she was on everybody's minds and prayers and everything from Fluval. And so to me, that really sealed the deal with me and Fluval. Everyone knows, if you follow me on Instagram at Michael the Fish Keeper, y'all know that I'm a huge supporter of Fluval. I love their products. And, I can't really say anything bad about the company in general. But thank you, Eric, for making this happen. And I appreciate you so much, man. And if you're ever in California, man, in the Bay Area, man, and you need anything, I'm here for you, man. And wherever you're at, if you need me to be there for you, man, I'm only a phone call away, man. You already know. But anyhow, let's go ahead and get to the video and get it started. So anyhow, like I mentioned, Eric sent us the Fluval FX6. We're gonna do an unboxing and setup. So without further ado, let's get to it. All right, the moment we all been waiting for. Let's go ahead and open up this bad boy. And as you can tell, as I open it, first thing you're gonna see is instructions on how to set everything up. Quick and easy, that way if you don't wanna read through the user manual, it's going to be right there. It's going to be in 3 different languages. Don't quote me on it, but I believe it's English, Portuguese, and Spanish. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it is in 3 different languages. And the first thing you're going to get is the drainage tube for when you do water changes on the FX6, and the outtake for the FX6, which is, we won't be using that, which is you'll see later in the video. Now this white box, when you open it up, you're going to have everything you're going to need for the FX6 in here. You're going to have the clips that are going to go onto the top of the tank for the plumbing to attach to, but we won't be using these, which you'll see why in the video. And then you got the clamps for the hoses to connect them to the connectors to the FX6 with the suction cups for the clamp for the tank. These are the connectors for the intake-outtake tubing for the FX6. And this big boy right here is the intake for the FX6. And what's really cool is you can actually adjust this to the height of your fish tank, or you go ahead and keep it short and just run tubing all the way down if you don't want it to be that long. And time to get the FX6 out of the box. I actually like how they actually package this FX6. I really like this. Got the tubing on there, convenient, easy to get off, and so on. So let's go ahead and dig into this more. All right, so these are gonna be the knobs to tighten down the lid. We're gonna get into that here in a moment. This is the outtake portion and the intake portion. And here's the tubing for the FX6. I believe it is a little over 13 feet long. This is the motor and pump that pump the FX6. And this right here is the little valve that you hook up plumbing to drain the FX6. So you can drain it when you go to do maintenance, or you can actually drain the tank from this part when you do water changes. So you can actually use the FX6 as a water changer, which is, we'll be doing that in a later video when it is time. Okay, let's go ahead and get this bad boy opened up. You just loosen those and just push them off to the side. Lift up this lid, and right away you're gonna know that this lid is strong and durable. Like, this thing is built to last big time. Got the sturdy intake pipe right there. I believe that is the intake pipe. This is just a type of warning thing and stuff like that. I definitely want to take a read at it if you're not familiar with these filters. And the first thing I'm going to do is just check the top, make sure there's no media and bags or anything that have to be opened when I go to set up the canister filter. So let's go ahead and lift up the sides right there, take those out. As you can tell, this filter is deep. You know, this filter is a beast. So the holders for it actually pop off, which is really convenient. And that way you're not having to put each one in by themselves, you know, one at a time, or take them out one at a time. So the second tray is the biomedia, which is, there's so many ways you can customize the sponges and the biomedia inside these FX6s. It's insane. So make sure you don't put those back in the bags and leave them in the filter. You definitely want to open those up and rinse it. So the third one, I'm just going to leave as is for the purpose of the video, but that media bag right there is for if you want to add any media to it, you know, water clarifier, ammonia remover, or anything like that. They actually make sponges for these FX6 for that reason. But for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to leave all the bio media and everything as is, and then change it out later, which is I'll make a video on the changes that I will be making to it. And for the bottom tray, for the media bag, I did take it back out before adding water. So now, let's get one step closer to getting this up and running. All right, so one thing you want to do is, before you add water to this, is you want to rinse off everything that came in the canister filter. So you want to remove all 3 trays, unbag all your biomedia, put that in the trays where you want it to be at, and then rinse everything off. That way you're not getting any of the biomedia dust or anything like that in your tank. Me personally, dust and stuff like that wouldn't bother me, but at the same time, you don't want it to clog the filter. So make sure you rinse it off. And then as far as biomedia and what I did on the inside is, I just set it up as it came. I will change out everything, well, not everything, but change out the biomedia and stuff at a later date. I'll put in the Fluval Bio FX in this canister filter at a later time. Right now, I just want to get it set up for the purpose of this video. So what I'm going to do is, so normally I would just add pure tap water and then add Aqua Plus from Fluval. That way it clears up the, you know, cleans up the tap water. That way it's safe. But I knew this day was coming, and the last time I added water to this tank, I added extra just for this. So we're going to be actually taking fish tank water from the sump and putting it into the canister filter. So you can use, you know, a cup, anything you want to do, or even just add fresh water to it, that's fine. So I'm going to go ahead and do this real quick and be right back. All right, so we went ahead and put the Fluval FX6 in its place. Everything's ready to go. Now we're going to set up the tubing, well, the intake and the outtake, okay? Oh, by the way, I have a surprise for the outtake. Be ready for that part. So anyhow, normally you would install these on your tank. This is where the tubing would over. So this part would go on the inside of the tank, just like so. And then obviously your tubing would connect around there. So you take these off, push these back on, it'll hold it into place. But anyhow, it won't fit on my acrylic tank. I ain't gonna lie, I drilled the hole a little bit too small, but the hole's big enough for the tubing, so it actually worked out. So these I will not be using on my tank. But like I said, you just pop these little clips off, put your hose over it, clamp them back in, okay? And that's it for those. But we're not gonna be using these. So let's go ahead and install the plumbing. So there's gonna be the clamps and the suction cups. Like I mentioned, we're not gonna use the suction cups because those go onto the clamps for the fish tank. But we will be using these metal clamps. And so I'm only going to use it on one of the tubings. I'm not going to demonstrate on both because it is the same for both. And just to make it quick for the purpose of this video. And so I always like to loosen them up a little bit because sometimes they do come a little bit tighter. So that way it just sits right on it. And you're going to put one of the connectors for the hoses. Just going to slide the hose right over that. And what I like to do is I don't like to tighten it too tight because as you go to, put this on and stuff, and as you're setting up the tubing, the nozzle will swing left to right and stuff like that. So I always like to tighten the clamp down more once I have it all set up and stuff. And you just want to hand tighten it when you do tighten it, that way it doesn't break. And for the nozzle, I like to close it just so that way no water goes into the FX6 or anything and comes out the other side without the connector on it. So, in fact, possibly I could actually left that open. I don't remember. So let's go ahead and get this set up. All right, so now we got the plumbing and everything going up through the back. I drilled 2 holes right there into the tank. And we're gonna do the outtake first. And so, you know how I said I had a surprise for the outtake? Eric also sent me the spray bar for the FX6. Now, like I mentioned before, if you follow me on my Instagram, where I'm actually more active at, but I'll be getting my YouTube channel going. But if you pay attention to my canister filters from Fluval, especially the 407s, I love the spray bar. So I'm really excited that they came out with this for the FX series. This isn't just for the FX6. It's also for the FX2, FX4, and FX6, of course. So let's go ahead, open this up, and install it. And here is the FX spray bar for the FX6. I'm really excited about this. Like, you guys can't see it on camera, but I'm like fish nerded out right now. Like, I love the spray bars, and obviously this is the first 2. So these come in 3 sections. Obviously they got all the holes in them. If your tank isn't long enough for all 3, don't worry. You can break it down to where you can use only 1, 2, or all 3 if you prefer. So right now I'm just dumping out all the connections and everything that are gonna needed to build this. So obviously you got to put your suction cups together with the clips to hold the piping in place. And there's like a little nipple on these things and like a little hole inside the suction cup, or on the clamps there's like a little nipple, as you can see right there. And all you're gonna do is just push them in there. And sometimes it might take a couple times to get them in there. At least it was like that for me. So getting this set up is a little bit time consuming, but obviously setting any type of stuff up for fish tanks is time consuming, obviously, but I enjoy doing this so much. So I believe there's 6. Yeah, I believe 6. I just counted on the tank. So right now I'm just looking at the connector. So this right here is actually the end cap. So whatever piece you're going to use for the end, you want to make sure you put that. Otherwise, water's going to shoot out the end. And so all I'm doing right here is I'm just dipping the end of it inside the sump just to get it wet, just so I can slide that on firm. So if you're just going to use just one piece, just make sure you got that end cap on there. Same thing for 2 or 3. So these are the connections that are where you're going to be connecting the pieces. So again, I'm just dipping that in the sump water, getting it wet just so it slides on a little bit better. And if it doesn't actually go on all the way, it's fine, because once you push in the other piece, it's going to adjust it. So once again, just getting it wet. That's just something I do. I don't know what everybody's method is, but that's what I do. Just dip it in the water and it's easier to slide in. So right there, I was just making sure everything was lined up. Again, one more connection. So for all 3, there's going to be 2 connections. connecting all of them together. Like the whole time I'm setting this up, I'm just like, I can't wait to see this. Like, I'm just like, I'm a kid on Christmas morning setting this up right now. Like, I'm all excited. So just make sure everything's lined up. And if it's not all lined up, it's fine. You can adjust it once it's in the tank. But it is a little bit easier to get it on there. So right now, I'm just checking the connectors and stuff. And so what you want to do right here is, this is the L-shaped one right here. This is where it's going to be connected to the main connector that will connect to the main hose, the main outtake hose of the FX6. So that right there. I actually made a boo-boo when they actually setting this up, but that'll be in the next clip where I correct my error. So right here is where I made the mistake. I couldn't remember how it went until after I actually put this piece on and made this clip. So let me go ahead and show you what I mean in the next clip. Ooh, but first, let me show you the connectors. You can actually put these on how you want them. I actually put it on the end right next to the cap, and then I put one right next to the connectors. Just kind of spreading them out. Like I said, you can put them where you want. You may find, you know, setting them up a different way may look better in your tank or may help you out for your setup. Because we all know when it comes to fish keeping, everybody's tanks are different and everybody likes a little bit of different things. So set the suction cups on how you want to. So about to get the last one on right now. So let's go ahead and cut to the next clip. Real quick, I just want to fix one of my mistakes. So on this one, you actually want the shorter part of this piece to go onto the spray bar. And then your outtake hose of the FX6 goes on the longer one. So this was the confusing part. So the outtake part that comes with your FX6, if you're doing this just like me, where you're getting the spray bar and the FX6 at the same time, installing it at the same time, you want to take this rubber piece off of the outtake that came with the FX6. You want to take this off. This is very, very important. Okay, that's if you're buying the FX6 and the spray bar at the same time. Because if you have the spray bar, or if you already have the FX6 up and running and then you're going to install the spray bar, obviously it's common sense, but if you're buying them at the same time, don't think you're missing a part or anything, just take it off of the outtake that came with it and then install it on here, just like that. Now this baby is ready to go. Let's go ahead and get this in the tank and installed. So I apologize for not getting that on camera, but it was a messy, wet job, and without lighting on this tank, that's going to be in the next video, it's kind of hard to get in there and see. But anyhow, we got everything hooked up and everything else, so let's go ahead and fire up the FX6. So I kept both of these off, or closed up while I did the install. Let's go ahead and just turn those up. And now, let's go ahead and power it on. All right, let's go ahead and plug it in. Now, your initial one, you're gonna get bubbles and stuff coming out. That's fine. It's gonna be bubbles and stuff getting the air out. You can actually hear it priming itself. So during that time, you're gonna get oxygen and stuff coming out. It's gonna look kind of funky. So we're gonna go ahead and let this run and we will be right back. All right, y'all. We got the spray bar installed. I'm trying to focus here, there it goes. We got the spray bar installed. It's going across here, showing y'all the water movement. There we go. And come down. And then we got the intake right there for the FX6. Oh man. Got it up and running. It's all quiet. Oh man. Man, I'm beat. It's hot in the fish room. It's hot. So anyhow, we got it all installed and everything. I've still got to do a little bit of adjustments as far as where to position them at. But it's up and running. I love the spray bar just because, you know, it's going to move roughly about the same amount of water subsurface. And so that's a lot of more water movement. You know what I mean? And plus it's pushing it forward. And then with the overflow, or not the overflow, but with the outtakes of the sump, you know, when I had them moving the top of the water, it's mainly pushing towards the other overflow, towards this other overflow. And to me, it wasn't moving enough water. But with the spray bar, it's definitely moving enough water. But I'm highly impressed with it. I will be back in exactly 30 days from today to do an update on this. And if I change anything, I'll update y'all. But I'm highly impressed with it. And once again, shout out to Eric from Fluval for making this happen. I appreciate you, brother, so much, man. And everyone else at Fluval, hope y'all have an amazing day going into the weekend. I hope you have a great weekend. And stay tuned for the next video, because that is going to include something that's going to brighten up this tank. Stay tuned.